What's up guys, Groovy Guitar Dude here with a beginner guitar tutorial for Good Riddance by Green Day. If this video helps you out, hit that like and subscribe button, and let me know down in the comments below what other songs by Green Day that you want to learn on guitar. Guys, the first thing you want to know to play Good Riddance on guitar is that we're going to be in standard tuning and we are not going to need a capo to play this song. The next thing that you want to know for Good Riddance is the structure of this song. We're going to start out with an intro, then we're going to go to verse 1, then chorus 1, then we're going to go to verse 2, then chorus 2, then we're going to have an instrumental, and then we're going to go back to chorus 2, and we're going to finish up with one last chorus 1 to take us out of the song. And guys, the last thing that you want to know before we dive into Good Riddance is the 4 chords that we need to play this song. The first one is G. The next one is C add 9. The next one is D. And the last one is E minor. And I'll have chord charts for all of those in the pinned comment below for those of you who need them. And with all that in mind, guys, let's dive into Good Riddance. Man, this is one of the first songs that I ever learned how to play on guitar. It's a timeless acoustic guitar classic. I absolutely love it, and it's actually the perfect song to wrap up GG Summer Strumming for this year. So I'm stoked to be sharing this song with you guys at a perfect time to be learning this one. So the first thing we're going to take a look at here is what we're playing for our intro. It's that iconic little intro part, very recognizable, especially if you grew up in the 90s or were just around when this song was popular. But it's a great little part, and it's what kicks us off into the song, and it's super easy. So we're going to start here with a G chord, and then all we're going to do is we're going to have a little finger picking pattern. For this little finger picking pattern, we're going to pick the low E note, D string, G string, and then back to D string, just like that, and we're going to pick that twice, and that's the whole intro. So one more time here, we've got this G chord here, we're going to pick low E, D, G, D, and we're going to repeat low E, D, G, D. A little closer to full speed. Just like that, and that takes us straight into the verse 1 of this song. So guys, that's a pretty basic little intro there, nothing too crazy or complicated. One thing I will say about it is that I am finger picking this, and I will be finger picking through the rest of this song as well, but you actually can use a pick if you want to. It's totally up to personal preference. I think that he actually plays this with a pick when he plays this, but I just feel a little bit more comfortable finger picking, and I think it's a little easier for you guys to see what I'm doing. So I'm finger picking, but feel free to use a pick if you want to. Again, pretty basic, nothing too complicated here, but a couple of times through that little intro picking pattern without me talking will look about like this. And from there, guys, we're into what's being played for our verses. Now, for our verses, we're going to have a chord progression and we're going to have a picking pattern. And again, I think that this is originally played using a pick, but I am going to be finger picking it for the same reasons I said before. With that in mind, first let's take a look at our chord progression we've got here. We're going to start here with a G. We're going to have a G again. And then we're going to go to C add 9. And then D. And we're going to repeat that twice, so we're going to repeat that top line twice, and then we're going to go to E minor, D, C add 9, and G. And we're going to repeat that one twice as well. Now, a quick note about this, verse 1 and verse 2 are going to have the same chord progression, but for verse 1, the one we're working on right now, we're going to have a picking pattern. For verse 2, we're actually going to have a strum pattern, but it is going to be the same chord progression. So with that in mind, we are going to have a picking pattern for this verse 1, but something really quick to address before we dive into that picking pattern is bass notes. Now, if you don't know what a bass note is, it's just the lowest note of whatever chord you're playing. So for our 4 chords here, for our G chord, our bass note, our lowest note, is going to be on our low E string. For our C add 9 chord, that's going to be on our A string. For our D chord, that's going to be on our D string. And for our E minor chord, that's going to be on our low E string. So those are all the bass notes that you need to know for this song, just so that you know which notes I'm talking about when I'm talking about bass notes. Make sure you remember those because they're important and you'll hear that a lot throughout this lesson. So with that in mind, our picking pattern for verse 1 is going to be this. We're going to use our G chord as our example because that's our first chord. It's going to be bass note, G, B, G, D, G. Just like that, for each chord. One more time through that, we've got bass notes, G, B, G, D, G for each chord, and that's going to be our picking pattern for each of those chords in verse 1. Now I know that might seem like a lot, it might seem a little bit complicated, but that is actually the only picking pattern we have in this song. We're going to use that for chorus 1, we'll get there in just a minute, but if you can get that picking pattern down, it repeats through a lot of the song. So it may seem difficult, but once you get it down, you've kind of got most of the song down already. So with that in mind, let's walk through that picking pattern with our chord progression. We'll start with our first line there, and our first chord is our G chord. For that one, we're going to go bass note, G, B, G, D, G. We've got another G, so we're going to do the same thing again. Bass note, G, B, G, D, G. And then we go to our C add 9. For that one, we're going to go bass note, G, B, G, D, G. We only played that one once, so we're going to go from there to our D chord, and for that one we're going to go D, G, B, G, D, G. That's our top line right there. That's what that's going to look like. We're going to repeat that twice. From there we're going to go to our second line. We'll start with our E minor there. We're going to go bass note, G, B, G, D, G. Then we'll go to our D chord. We're going to go bass note, G, B, G, D, G. And then we go to our C add 9, bass note, G, B, G, D, G. And then we go to our G chord, bass note, G, B, G, D, G. And we repeat that line twice as well. And that's going to be your entire verse, is just those two lines repeated 2 times each, just like that, with that picking pattern. So it seems like a lot, but again, this song is actually very repetitive, so this is probably the most challenging part of the song, just because it's a lot to remember. If nothing else, it's just a lot to remember. But once you get this part down, the rest of the song is pretty much easier from here. So with all that in mind, guys, I'm going to play through that a couple of times very slowly so that you can make sure you got all the right stuff in all the right places, and then I'll play through it once full speed so that you can match it up with the speed of the song. So slowly once first will look about like this. And once full speed through the chord progression and picking pattern that's going to play all the way through verse 1 of Good Riddance will look about like this. From there, guys, we're into what's being played for chorus 1. And same thing with chorus 1, we're actually going to play the same chord progression for chorus 1 as we are for chorus 2. But for chorus 1, we're going to have a picking pattern, and for chorus 2, we're going to have a strum pattern. So first, let's take a look at the chord progression for our choruses. It's going to be E minor, G, and we're going to repeat that twice. So E minor and G again. And then we're going to go to E minor and D. And that's going to take us out of our choruses. They're very, very short, quick choruses. And this is going to be pretty easy because it's going to flow really well into what we were just playing for our verse 1, because we're going to be using the same exact picking pattern for each chord that we did in verse 1. So again, using our E minor as our example, because that's our first chord here, we're going to go bass note, G, B, G, D, G. Just like we did for our verse 1 picking pattern, we're just going to apply the same picking pattern to chorus 1 as well. So walking through our chorus 1 chord progression with that picking pattern is going to look about like this. We'll start with our E minor. We're going to go bass note, G, B, G, D, G. Bass note, G, B, G, D, G. We'll repeat that first line. Bass note, G, B, G, D, G, bass note, G, B, G, D, G. Now we're on to that second line. We'll go bass note, G, B, G, D, G, and then bass note, G, B, G, D, G. Just like that, and that'll take us out of our chorus 1. So guys, same thing with this one. I'm going to start by playing this once through very slowly so that you can make sure you have all the right stuff in all the right places. Then I'll play through it once full speed so that you can match it up with the speed of the song. So slowly first will look about like this. And once through our chorus 1 chord progression, with that picking pattern, will look about like this full speed. And from there, guys, things get much, much easier, because for most of the rest of the song, we're going to be switching to a strum pattern rather than picking patterns. What's cool too is that we're actually going to pretty much repeat the same chord progressions that we had for verse 1 and chorus 1, and we're going to play them for verse 2 and chorus 2, but we're just going to switch to a strum pattern instead of a picking pattern. So a lot of this is going to look really familiar, but let's walk through it. So for verse 2, again, we're going to have the same exact chord progression as we had for verse 1. So G, G, C add 9, and D. We'll play that twice, and then we'll go to E minor, D, C add 9, and G. And we'll repeat that line twice as well. That's going to be our whole chord progression for verse 2. What we're going to do, though, is we're going to switch to a strum pattern here. The strum pattern we're going to be using for each chord is going to be down, down, up, just like that for each chord. Pretty easy strum pattern, very common, especially if you've been learning on this channel. We use that strum pattern for beginner songs all the time. It's a really common and super useful strum pattern. So a little walkthrough of what that'll look like with that whole chord progression is about like this. We'll start with our G chord. We'll go down, down, up, down, up, 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 down, down, up, down, up. Just like that, and that is going to be the entire verse 2, exactly like that. So once through that whole verse 2 chord progression and strum pattern, without me talking, will look about like this. And from there, guys, we're into what's being played for chorus 2. And same thing here, this is going to be very familiar and pretty easy to learn as well. We're going to have the same exact chord progression that we had for chorus 1. So E minor, G, E minor, G, and then we go to E minor and D. And that's the entire chorus 2. And same thing for this one. We're just going to switch from a picking pattern into that same strum pattern that we were just using for verse 2 as well. So with our E minor, it'll be down, down, up, just like that. Same exact chord progression as chorus 1 and same exact strum pattern as verse 2. So a little walkthrough of our chorus 2 will look about like this. We'll start with our E minor. We'll go down, down, up, down, up, 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 down, down, up, down, up. Just like that. That's going to be the entire chorus 2. So guys, same thing there. Once all the way through chorus 2 without me talking will look about like this. And from there, guys, the last thing that you need to know to play Good Riddance on guitar is the instrumental. We have this little bridge instrumental thing that plays about 2/3 of the way through the song before the last little chorus section, and it's pretty easy and repeats a lot of what we already know. So our chord progression for our instrumental is going to be G, G, C add 9, D. We're going to play that 4 times, and then we're going to go to E minor, D, C add 9, and G. And we're going to play that twice. And that's going to lead into our last chorus 2, which will then lead into the last chorus 1. We finish up with that little picking chorus one more time to take us out of the song. So that instrumental part, we're going to use that same strum pattern we've been using the whole time. Down, down, up, for each chord, just like that. Same thing. This is going to look a lot like verse 2, actually. Really, the only difference between this and verse 2 is that we play that top line 4 times instead of 2 times. So a quick little walkthrough of what that'll look like is about like this. We'll go down, down, up, down, up, 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 down, down, up, down, up. Just like that, and that's going to take us, like I said, into that last chorus 2, which will then lead into that last chorus 1, that little picking chorus that takes us out of the song. So guys, like I said, it's very similar to verse 2, but once all the way through me playing that without me talking will look about like this. And guys, that is everything that you need to know to play Good Riddance on guitar. As always, if you have any questions, you can hit me up in the comments down below. I'm usually pretty quick getting back to those. And again, if this video helped you out, hit that subscribe button. I have about 750 other guitar and ukulele lessons on this channel, and I usually try to post at least 3 to 5 new lessons every single week. So if you're learning guitar or ukulele, there cannot be a more perfect channel for you to check out. If you want to see where I'm traveling right now, what songs I'm jamming on, or pictures of my dog, you can hit up my Instagram at @thegroovyguitardude. Link for that will be in the description below. And finally, guys, if you want to support the channel and get your name at the credits at the end of each new tutorial, you can hit up my Patreon at patreon.com/thegroovyguitardude. Link for that will be in the description below as well. Guys, Good Riddance is an absolutely iconic acoustic guitar song. It's one of the first acoustic guitar songs that I learned how to play, and it was the perfect way to send off this year's GG Summer Strummin'. If you guys didn't know, my girlfriend Guitar Goddess does a series every summer called GG Summer Strummin', and this year the theme was 90s songs, and so this was my 90s song that I wanted to send you guys off with this year. Everybody who's been involved with GG Summer Strummin' this year, it's been a lot of fun, and this is just a perfect song to just kind of end the summer on. Guys, I love this song not only because it's a very sentimentally valuable song to me, but also because it's a great song for beginner guitarists. First of all, it's the probably easiest 4 chords that you can play on guitar. It's pretty much the first 4 chords that any guitarist should learn. And with these same 4 chords, you can actually play a lot of music. A lot of different songs are based around the 4 chords that we use in this song. So it's a really great song for beginners to learn because it's a really good exposure to those first couple of chords that you probably should learn before any others. So the other thing I like about this song too is that it does incorporate both picking and strumming. It's a pretty good intro to both of them. That picking is a little bit tricky, especially if you do the finger picking like I did. If you use the pick, it's actually a little bit easier, I think, for most people, but I kind of prefer finger picking, so that's why I went with the finger picking. But the strumming for this song is actually pretty easy as well. Now, the guitarist for Green Day uses a little bit of kind of a variable strum pattern throughout the song. It's almost a little bit kind of sloppy, whereas it's not a super consistent strum pattern like we used in this. But this is a really close strum pattern that's consistent that the beginners out there can use to get the song down. It'll sound really accurate, it'll sound really cool, but it's a little bit more beginner friendly than the kind of variable strum pattern that Green Day is using for this song. So guys, I love this song. I had a lot of fun learning it. I thought it was the perfect song to send off GG Summer Strumming with. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Hope you have a wonderful rest of the summer, what's left of it, and I'll see you guys very soon.